everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Greatest Graphic Novel Guide. Now, in this episode, I'm going to be talking about the Punisher Frankencastle, which is another one of those things that people aren't particularly keen on because it was a weird reboot that they did, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And this version that I've got, which cost $16.99 from HMV, as you can see by the type of label, this contains a hell of a lot of comics in here. It's got the full Dark Reign the List Punisher issues 11 to 16, Frankencastle, which was the renamed Punisher series, issues 17 to 21, and Dark Wolverine issues 88 to 89. So it's got quite a lot in there. Now, the story, if you're not familiar with it, was that at the time it was the Dark Reign overarching thing that they had for the Marvel Universe, and Norman Osborn was in charge of all the superpowered people, and there was a lot of Avengers that were on the run. There was a whole thing, and Norman Osborn developed a list of people that he wanted to just wipe out, and one of them was the Punisher. So he sent Daken the Dark Wolverine after him, and they have like a whole bloody messy brawl in there, which let me find the page just to give you an idea. Yeah, there we go. There they are battling in the sewers and stuff, but it ultimately comes down to Daken hacking Frank to pieces. As you can see, there's bits flying off while they're fighting, and yeah, it gets worse. There's the Punisher's head just going for a little stroll on its own, and the last visual of that issue is the Punisher in pieces. So they effectively killed him off, and that was that. But then the Punisher ongoing series didn't get cancelled. They just carried on, and they had this whole thing illustrated by Tony Moore, who was the artist for the original volume of The Walking Dead. As you can see, this is all the Monster Metropolis and from Monster Island, and they all got the pieces of Frankencastle, brought them to Dr. Morbius, who resuscitated Frank and turned him into a Frankenstein-type monster, hence the name Frankencastle. Which the series was only referred to as Frankencastle. He was never called that in there. He was just referred to as the Punisher still. But yeah, Tony Moore's artwork is really awesome here. I do really rate his work. I've got, let's say, he did the first volume of Walking Dead. He did the, I think it was the Dead President's run on Deadpool, which was pretty cool, and a few other bits and pieces. And yeah, his art really helps this storyline and lends itself really well to the Monster Metropolis stuff. And the writer for the whole thing was Rick Remender. Rick Remender's done some fantastic work on Wolverine and the Uncanny Avengers and Uncanny X-Force and some other bits that I've also got like full runs of dotted around on the shelves behind me. He's just a great writer, and yeah, Tony Moore's art is really great for these. The list section that I've already shown the bits for is done by John Romita Jr., who's it's one of these artists that I can either sort of, some of its stuff I really like, and sometimes I don't like it at all, which is a bit strange. So I didn't enjoy his run on Avengers, but I loved his run on Spider-Man. So very polarising for that. But yeah, so this whole thing is Frankencastle defending the Monster Metropolis whilst being some form of Frankensteinian monster, and ultimately, here we go, ends up in an even worse way than he already is, and they use the Bloodstone to try and help him, which is, oh yeah, obviously spoiler alert, spoilers in all of these videos. You should just assume there's going to be spoilers. But the Bloodstone gives him like an extra healing factor, and ends up restoring him completely. So by the end of this, I mean, we get a rematch between Daken, there he is in his civvies. He's against Frank, and ultimately the Bloodstone revives Frank and brings him back to normal. So it's like a one and done sort of thing. Comes full circle by the end of it all. It's really good. There you go. They literally, they rather lazily have the weeks pass thing when he's healing up, and then it just goes back to, yeah, now he's just a Punisher again. So yeah, it's a good book. It's definitely worth a read. If you like the supernatural side of Marvel, this is really good because it's got characters like Morbius, Amphibian, Jack Russell, which was the Werewolf by Night, Elsa Bloodstone, amongst others. And yeah, it's good. Shines a spotlight on that whole sort of corner of the Marvel Universe, and it's a decent change to the normal status quo of the Punisher, because the Punisher is a character that I love, but I've never felt the need to collect any of the Punisher stuff ongoing. I mean, there's some stuff I've got which is the Army of One era, which I'm just going to reach for here, which was the Garth Ennis things, which is very, very good. That'll probably feature on a future episode of this. But yeah, the Punisher's been one of those things where every now and again I start reading the comics and quite enjoy them, but it's very, very samey. There's only so much you can do with him because of the lack of powers and that sort of thing. And yeah, Frankencastle was a nice little refreshing change of pace to things, and it ended up back with the usual status quo, but it was still really, really good. So yeah, Frankencastle. Enjoy.